Let me tell you a story about this couple who went out to buy a puppy. They were planning to have a child next, and so this was their first step towards that, and they were both really excited about it. "This is going to be great," he said. "I'm sure you'll be a great mom. You take such good care of everybody." She became a little quiet at that, like, what did he mean? Did he mean that she would have to take all the responsibility? "Well, I hope you'll be a good dad," she said. So he was a little taken aback like that. It's like, what do you mean? Of course, I'm sure I'll be a good dad. Why do you have to always be so critical and negative about everything? Critical? Negative? She got upset. Now he's accusing me. So she said, well, if you had to live with someone as frustrating as you would be critical and negative too. And at this, he got really angry. So he's like, what, first I'm not a good dad, now I'm not a good husband, like nothing, I'm never good enough for you. You're like just perfect. So she said, what, you think this is all my fault? And he said, yeah, well, it's certainly not mine. At this time, they had both lost it completely. She said, you know what, I don't think that this is a good idea. I don't want to have a dog with you. And I think we should just go home. And he said, yeah, I think we should just go home. So they turned around and returned home, with her sniffing occasionally and him rolling his eyes, and that ended that. Like this couple, there are some couples who they fight constantly. And you find that they can kind of take just about anything and turn it into a fight, which is of course a very miserable state of affairs to stay in. So what could be happening with couples like this? Firstly, they might be dealing with what Bochum calls primary relationship distress, which means that, basically they are not really happy with each other. They're not really satisfied with each other. Their personalities clash, or they don't really get along. And that basic disappointment in the relationship sort of tends to manifest in all their interactions. So where you could have been nice to the other person, you choose not to be. You'd rather express your frustration or your anger at being in the relationship than anything else. They could also be experiencing what Johnson and Greenberg called an attachment injury, where one or the other they've hurt the other person so badly and so deeply that you're really not able to get over that. One person having an affair, feeling let down in front of the larger family, feeling like your parents have been hurt by your partner. These are very often causes for these kinds of injuries, and if the couple hasn't really spoken about it, tried to resolve it, asked for forgiveness, etc., these are things which can sort of stay underneath and then manifest again in many interactions. Interactions also, as we've seen earlier, they form like a pattern. And when you develop a pattern of being with each other, that, like you attack me, I feel attacked, so I attack you back, you defend yourself. When you form a pattern like that, sometimes it becomes a habit that is difficult to break out of, even when you know that this is what's happening. Okay, so, you may know that when my partner says something like this, I feel defensive or I feel upset. And then when I feel upset, I tend to attack back. And your partner may know that, when I'm attacked, I get very angry about it. I feel like very insulted, may not mean as much. But knowing this doesn't necessarily mean that you can control the emotions that come with that. And so that can sort of be a real problem. Here are a few, let's say, patterns or insights from therapy that, might help couples who are dealing with these types of situations understand what's going on. First, while I've been talking about couples throughout, it is true that individuals who are more insecure, individuals who are more emotionally vulnerable or have poorer emotional control will of course find it harder in a relationship as well. Also, individuals who are more dependent on the relationship, emotionally, financially, and in other ways, but largely emotionally, when their need from the relationship is stronger, then they want to make it perfect. They want to make it fit the story they have in their mind of how it ought to be. And that can also lead to greater conflict. So in an ironic way, those who want love and are heavily dependent on that and think that I can only love once and I have to make this relationship worse, sometimes you can put too much weight on the relationship and it breaks under that extra weight. Another thing which I see couples often struggling with, especially when there's this level of conflict, is who is responsible for the emotions that happen between them. So if I'm feeling sad, can I expect my partner to soothe me? If I'm feeling angry, should my partner know what to do to make me less angry? Or are all my emotions just my own responsibility? Angry, sad, whatever, partner can be doing whatever they want, I have to still deal with myself. Well, both these are extremes. I think neither can your partner take care of all of your emotional issues, as if we don't take responsibility for our own emotions, then we're unlikely to be able to develop any control over them. At the same time, a relationship where all my emotional work I have to do all by myself, it can feel a bit lonely and it can feel a little bit like, what's the point? So why am I in this relationship? So here I would recommend that couples talk to each other about this explicitly and kind of decide that to what extent do I need to take responsibility for my own unhappiness, anger, and at what point can I reach out for help, and what is it that we can do for each other when we need help like this, and they're able to find a balance which works. The other situation that I see a lot is that couples keep arguing because the form of argument is that both just express their opinion or their perspective over and over again without really listening to the other. And more important than listening to the other, without really trying to find a solution that meets both people's needs. As long as your solutions for your issues are about meeting your needs, they are unlikely to meet the needs of the couple. So broadly, these are the suggestions I'd make. Firstly, look at yourself and understand what you can do to deal better with your relationship rather than going straight to blame your partner. Talk more and listen more. And finally, look for solutions that address both people's needs.